What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about if Albania is a third world shithole or not. And I think I kind of messed up my words there. If Albania is a third world shithole or not. And the reason I want to talk about this is because recently I saw someone very near and dear to me, my dad, talking about how if you choose to move to Albania, you are in for a wild ride. And I have to push back on that and say, spoiler alert, it is not a third world shithole, but there are some massive drawbacks to Albania, and we are going to be talking about that in this video. But before we get into that, smash the like button, costs you nothing, means the world to me, really helps me out with the algorithm, and subscribe if you're interested in more content like this. Now, with all that said, let's go ahead and get on into it. So like I was saying, I was watching one of my dad's videos, and he said for like a best plan B country, somehow Albania got brought up, because I don't really think it's a plan B country. But he said, oh, you better be ready to stick it out because it is a shithole. And I gotta say, I have a couple of videos that I recorded there. Actually, I might have more than that, and I'll link a couple down below this video so you can see me walking around. It's clean, the people are friendly, especially in Durrës. Tirana, a little bit different story, but we're gonna talk about that here in a moment. But I would say it certainly does have some issues, but it's not like a third world shithole. So here's what I would say. Infrastructure wise, yeah, it's not the greatest. It's up and coming, but it's not like there's power outages. There's not like people pooping in the streets and things like that, especially in some of the nicer areas. You know, it's relatively clean. There's not a bunch of graffiti everywhere. There's not a bunch of trash on the ground. And generally, the streets are really well taken care of. Now, yes, it is not perfect, and I'm sure if I went to some of the less fortunate areas, I would be in for a rude awakening. That is certainly true. And then part of infrastructure is just like access to certain amenities. Yeah, it's not going to have like all the first world amenities. The public transportation isn't going to be super high quality, super great. They're not going to have like a high speed rail and things like that. And I've talked about how the healthcare is not going to be ideal in Tirana. The travel between cities is not ideal. Trust me on that. I went from Tirana to Durrës by bus, even though the bus ride is not that long, but man, that bus was not the let's just say highest quality bus I have ever been on. And the things generally just don't work super smooth because the timetables are off. Even online, they randomly like close bus stations and move the bus station, and you can't really find any information about it unless you like start talking to locals, like, hey, there's supposed to be a bus station here and it's not here, can you help me out with this? And fortunately, a lot of them are super friendly, and they're like, oh yeah, you have to take this bus that goes here, then take a bus here, blah 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 kind of thing. So there are that kind of issues. But when it comes to safety and like certain like housing options are actually really high quality. So that is why I push back on the narrative that it is kind of a dump, because it's certainly not a dump. It is growing, and they have cleaned up a significant portion of the country to make it more accessible to tourism. And if you check out my video on Durrës, it is actually really clean, really well taken care of, and a place that really would interest me at long term. So I'm not like blowing smoke with these videos. I can't wait to go back to Albania, and the Albanian government is obviously not paying me to promote Albania. I'm just sharing my thoughts, my experiences based on going to over 70 different countries. Like, in full transparency, I was not expecting what I saw in Albania. But if you're comparing it to like Dubai, where my dad lives, obviously it is going to be more of that third world quality. But my dad also has a place in Paraguay. And if you're comparing it to Paraguay, I would say it is probably on par with Paraguay on pretty much all terms. It might be even in some extent higher quality, especially in Durrës. They have massive developmental projects going on in Durrës, and that's for a reason, because they know If that place continues on the trajectory, on the same trajectory, and they do the right things, and then they keep attracting foreign investment and foreign visitors that pump money back into the economy, then that can really help out the entire country, because as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats or ships or something like that. So with that said, those are my quick thoughts on whether Albania is really a backwater third world kind of country or not. So to put it succinctly, no, it is not. And I think it is actually a really attractive place to go right now, because I think you would be pleasantly surprised. Now with that said, if you have any experience in Albania, drop that in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, peace, much love.